Hey, yo.
If I can be serious for a minute.
Oh, yeah. Acknowledge me. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome. Come on in, sit down to an extra special episode of the Sit Down Marks podcast. Now, this one is going to be one like you've never heard from us before, because we're going to try a little something new here. We're going to try out something to see what happens. You know, we're kind of sitting around, we're talking to each other. You know, it's 2026. You know, we've been promising you guys, more content. We've been wanting to bring out some more content. So we thought, we've hit a lot of different avenues in wrestling. We talked to, a bunch of different angles. We talk about the independent scene, the entertainment side, the pros, the professionals, the big companies, all that stuff from top to bottom, So we thought, maybe just maybe, it would be a good idea if we stepped into a realm of something, other than wrestling. We have other passions outside of wrestling, other things that we like, that kind of stuff. So, we come up with this idea of these, not very frequent, but, ever so often, podcasts that we're going to drop for you, standalone podcasts on their own. We're going to be talking about subjects, that we like, that we're into, that everybody likes and that kind of stuff. So you can relate, when you're riding along in the car, when you're, maybe listening along in your workout, at work, whatever, that kind of stuff. Well, we come up with this concept of this podcast side quest called The List. And what it's going to be is, we talk about all kind of different subjects, from TV shows to our favorite sports teams, other subjects outside of wrestling. We're a bunch of, marks here, of course, we are the Sit Down Marks. So, we're going to give little wrestling references, stuff along the way, because we just won't be able to get away from it 100%. Right. But, we thought, why can't we talk about other things, other than wrestling? And we thought to ourselves, maybe we come up with this side little quest content for a podcast where, we have our, our top fives, because everybody loves a good top five. Everybody loves a good list. Everybody likes to know where other people stand on certain, subjects or things on TV, that kind of stuff. So, we thought, why not in the beginning, we talk about our top five movies. Now, everybody loves a good movie. Everybody's usually got at least, a top three list, probably somewhere along the way, maybe, that kind of stuff. But we squeezed in a top five. It was hard for me. I wouldn't call myself like a movie buff, so to speak, but you know what I mean? Like, I've consumed a lot of movies, in my lifetime. I kind of go up and down, I sought after the ones I want to see, and the other ones I just, kind of trickle and, watch, along the way, because, say for instance, I only, I'm a 50-year-old guy, and I just saw Shawshank Redemption for the first time just the other week. That's kind of the ones that's, slipped through the cracks. So, this, that kind of stuff, and our adventures in these certain kind of subjects. So, of course, absolutely, without a doubt, I want to bring in my podcast brethren, the Sit Down Marks podcast. Dylan and Primo are going to be taking this adventure, with us on here. Boys, growing up, man, did you guys have any memories of like going to the movie theater, seeing a certain movie, that you remember like kind of kicking off your childhood, Primo?
I can tell you, some movies, that's another love of mine. And as far as the movie theater, I still to this day, I love the movie theater. It's unfortunate. The actual movie goer experience seems to be dying a little bit, but in 2026, but as growing up, I have specific memories. Like, for instance, if you see if people that watch the podcast on YouTube, sometimes you'll see Star Wars stuff behind me. I got two lightsabers behind my head that are always there. They've been there for the whole 5 years. So I saw episode 1 with my grandma when that came out. So that was awesome. And then my first PG-13 movie, my older brother took me to, was Little Nicky. So I got to see Tithead.
Wow.
As a 13-year-old.
Dylan, you remember any first memories at the movie theater?
Oh man, a ton of memories going to the movies. Like Primo said, still love to do it. A lot. Like the town I grew up in, we didn't have a movie theater. So the closest one was like 45 minutes to an hour or so away. So once we kind of hit that like high school driving, everybody got their license, like that time frame. All the time, a bunch of us would go down to the movies, go out to eat, that kind of stuff. Early on, I was just trying to rack my brain, see if I could even remember what maybe that first one was. It might have been that. I think it was called Little Soldiers. I haven't watched it in 27, 28 years, something like that. Small Soldiers. That's probably what it was.
There we go.
Couldn't tell you a thing about it now because, like I said, haven't watched it in quite a while. But I remember going to that one early. I remember going to see Shrek with like my mom and my grandpa. I remember seeing Elf in theaters, and now that's like the family Christmas tradition. Who doesn't love to go to a movie, get a popcorn, spend twice as much on the popcorn that you do on the movie and, lose yourself for 2 hours there.
Right. For me, man, of course, we rewind a little bit. Like my early memories, man, like I remember like, I'm not sure which one, but it's one of the two. Like my first two memories of the movie theater was E.T., Extraterrestrial, from back in the day, and the original Karate Kid with Ralph Macchio. Quick story. So I was always pumped and excited to go to the movie theater, right? Because we didn't have a lot of money growing up. So, we didn't go to the movie theater too often, sometimes on payday, right? So I remember I got like so overzealous, wanting to get in. I ran into the movie theater early and stood there, and it was the last like 2 minutes of the movie and saw the ending of the Karate Kid before I actually sat down to watch the whole movie. So I kind of like ruined it for myself. But anyway, didn't take it away. But and growing up, like I remember the big the big box office movies. Independence Day is one I remember that was big when coming out. I remember going and seeing Batman in 1989 when that came out. You know what I mean? So, lots of good memories in the movie theater. I still love watching movies at home. I mostly my theater visits are with the kids, to watch a kids movie normally, but I definitely go, watch the movies by myself if I have to, need to, and definitely want to see one at the movie theater, by myself. So
I just thought of a story that I don't think I've ever told you guys, but this my best friend, he passed away 13 years ago when we were 23. A couple years before that, though, he had gotten this incentive from his job. He used to work for Acer Computers, and the incentive was for him to take to him and somebody else to go to Six Flags. And he was like, "Hey, man, you want to go Six Flags with me?" I was like, "Yeah, of course. Why not? I would go to Six Flags with my best friend on random Tuesday." So anyway, we get in his car, which by the way was a number 3 Intimidator Monte Carlo. Yeah. And anyway, we got in his car. As soon as we get in his car, he looks at me. And by the way, I've told my wife I'm going to Six Flags. She expects me to be gone for a certain amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
And we get in the car and he goes, "So you want to go to Austin instead and go see Dark Knight Rises?" I was like, in IMAX. I was like, "Sure." So we go to there. Yeah. He's like, "Well, we still got to burn time." So we watched Dark Knight Rises. Then we movie hopped and saw Amazing Spider-Man. Then we movie hopped again and saw we fell asleep watching Born Legacy. But and then it was just a crazy day where and I don't condone movie hopping, by the way, people. But but I did it. So that's a funny story.
All right. That's good stuff, man. All right, boys and ladies and gentlemen, if you're checking us out, we are the Sit Down Mars podcast. I am DB, the host. Primo is the co-host over on the East Coast. Dylan is, he's got a blue hat on today, so he's usually a green guy, third man here in the ring with us. So let's kick this thing off, man. Let's have some fun. So I want to let you guys know, you might be into The Wizard of Oz.
Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain.
You might be into, say, somebody like the Incredible Hulk. So different kind of, of genres of movies, but, if you're with us, let's give this thing a try. Try, right?
All right, I'll give it a try.
No, try not. Do or do not.
There is no try.
Yeah, if you're a fan, you know what that one is. All right, Primo, kick us off, man. Here we go. Primo, your top 5 movies.
Yeah, so top 5. I'm just gonna go ahead and start off with a small list of honorable mentions. Like you said, this is a hard thing. This is like asking me my favorite rock band. I had a hard time with this. So honorable mentions, I have a small list of 35. I'm only gonna give you like 7. But honorable mentions would be for me personally. Now, these could easily, some of these that are in my honorable mentions could be in anybody's top 5 any day. That being Training Day, Gladiator, The Dark Knight. I just talked about it. Two Towers from Lord of the Rings, Avengers Endgame. That's an epic movie. Spider-Man No Way Home. I saw it in theaters 3 times. Die Hard. I watch Die Hard every year with my wife. This is because it's a Christmas movie. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind is amazing. If you've never seen it, it's sad. So if you
actually have
cry,
not,
it's a good one. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Jim Carrey.
There you
sad
go.
movie. Face Off and Broken Arrow. I'm a sucker for 90s action.
Yes.
So those are my honorable mentions. Let's get to my top 5.
Hell yeah.
So my top 5. Let's go with number 5. It's this disc, actually. I left it in a Cactus Jack DVD set, and it got sold on Whatnot.
Get out of here.
You beat me to the joke.
Oh, well played. Well played.
Oh.
Well played.
But no, seriously, number 5 is, if you've listened to the pod, you know where that comes from. But number 5 is certainly not a masterpiece. It's actually a pretty dumb movie, but it's hilarious, and I watched it a shitload as a kid, and that is Ready to Rumble.
Oh, nice.
If you're a wrestling fan, you either hate this movie or you like this movie, love this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I personally love it because at the time, I just stupid humor. I like that. It portrays wrestling fans as idiots. Most of them, a lot of them are. So that's fine with me. But
see.
But anyway, no, it's great. Has a lot of WCW wrestlers in it. Jimmy King is hilarious. Oliver Platt. Number 5, Ready to Rumble.
Ready to Rumble. Okay.
It's a funny movie.
Yeah, it is. Like, it's one of the, I'm pretty sure I probably hated it and thought it was cheese when I was younger. Now I'm like, haha, it's whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's stupid humor.
Yeah, it's kind of like Talladega Nights for me because I'm a NASCAR guy.
I love that movie too. So number 4 is on this list because I just said I like 90s action.
Mm-hmm.
But anytime back in the day when I had DirecTV or Dish or whatever, and I was scrolling through the channel guide, I call it having a Con Air moment. So anytime I see Con Air on TV, I had to stop and finish it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's classic,
one of those movies, man. I gotta stop and finish it every time I see it. Number 4 is Con Air.
Yeah, that's a good one, man. I dig that movie too. That's one I will stop and watch too. The rest of.
Number 3 for me, I like mystery thriller and like lawyer prison type kind of movies. So number 3 for me, Law Abiding Citizen. It's not what you know, it's what you can prove in court. That's from that movie. Gerard Butler, Jamie Foxx, great movie. That's one, if you haven't seen, go see it. Number 2, man, my top 3. If you hadn't seen these, you need to go see these. But so number 2, excellent cast. Excellent director. Number 2 is The Departed.
Yeah.
You got Leonardo DiCaprio.
So good.
Mark Wahlberg, Nicholson.
About Whitey Bulger.
Damon. Yeah, exactly. It's so freaking good. The
Boston
Departed.
crime mob boss. Yeah, man. Yeah, got it. Yeah, that's such a good movie. That's one of those that I feel like I probably got it on. Yeah, I'm one of those guys that has DVDs. I probably bought it on DVD because I'll grab it. It'll be 50 cents in the flea market, or yard sale bargain, and be like, what?
My older brother, he's a DVD collector. At least he used to be. He used to have duffel bags full of DVDs. And yeah. My number 1 movie, I love space. I'm a Texan, so all right. I love Matt McConaughey. But no, for real though, Interstellar is an amazing movie. I love it. Also, as a father to a daughter,
Sure.
that one will also pull at your strings a little bit. It's just a fantastic movie all the way around. My number one is Interstellar. So Ready to Rumble, Con Air, Law Abiding Citizen, The Departed, and Interstellar.
That's fair. There's a few of those I haven't seen there. I don't know that I've watched Law Abiding Citizen all the way through. Con Air, definitely for sure. Interstellar, I think, has been a while. I could probably use a little rewatching on that one. So, all right, Dylan, it's your turn, brother. Let's see what you got. Top 5 movies.
I'm going to be honest real quick before I get to mine. I'm
Sure.
0 for 5 on Primos. Not seen a single
all
one.
right.
Even Ready to Rumble. I've missed that one. 0 for 5 on Primo's list. I got 5 movies I got to go watch now.
You did forewarn, though, pre-pod, that you were probably the least movie of us 3.
And it's like a joke between my friends. If you name a famous movie, I probably haven't seen it. DV mentioned E.T. and Karate Kid. I've not seen either one of them.
Sure.
I will rattle off what we do the last pod, the Final Resolution 2005. I will rattle off that card for you, but I haven't seen movies. It's a give and a take. So I had a couple honorable mentions on mine. Just preface, I love a good comedy.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
If it's a stupid comedy, it's almost even better. If I could just,
Sure.
turn it on. You mentioned the Walmart 50-cent bins. I got a number of, I don't know if this is any good or not, but it's going to cost me $2. So let's
Sure.
just go ahead and buy it and see what happens. My honorable mentions, I threw 21 Jump Street on there.
Oh, good one.
I have Shawshank Redemption on my honorable mention list. That was
Yeah,
one of those, like,
great.
I love it. And when DB said he hadn't seen it, I was like, what? Like, I've seen that movie. How have you not seen it?
Yeah,
It's top 5 IMDb of all time.
I believe it. Yeah. When rounding out my honorable mentions, I had Knives Out. That mystery movie came out a handful of years ago. Love a good mystery movie. And I had The Joker on my list. Just very good. It's Batman, but it's not the Batman movie. It's, a darker side. I love like the Joker, like origin story. But getting to my top 5, number 5, I am going to go with Deadpool, the 2016 Deadpool, Ryan Reynolds.
Nice.
Like my friend group and I always went and watched the superhero movies, and I like them, but I don't love them. Like, I'm not a big, like, super into comic books, so I like watching the movies. So this, like, combined that with the comedy, I think it's rated R, the darker humor, a lot of fourth wall breaks, like making fun of itself throughout the movie almost.
Yeah.
That one, Primo mentioned one of his. I ended up watching this one 3 times in theaters, just kind of by happenstance. And then just, again, kind of through circumstance, I ended up watching it like once a month for like a 2-year period, just in college, different people and stuff. So I have Deadpool at 5. Number 4, I'm going Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, 2019 Quentin Tarantino film. Love it. I love how the stories, like throughout the whole movie, pretty much the A and B story are completely separate, and they tie them together at the very end.
Yeah, I love movies like that. Yeah.
That I have that one at 4. Number 3, I had to throw some wrestling on here. I'm going to go with the Iron Claw, the story of the Von Erich family.
Yeah.
A little bit of a newer movie compared to some of these other ones we were talking about. If you're a diehard wrestling fan, yeah, you can nitpick the crap out of it. There's all kinds of stuff that you go, oh, this isn't technically right, or he didn't wear this color trucks on this show. Who really cares? It's a good movie. A dark movie, but it's a good movie. I love it. Number 2, I'm going to go with Tommy Boy, 1995. I remember watching this. I was probably 2 years old. Just remember it being on at like my cousin's house, them having it on.
Sure.
Found it at Target for $5 when I was in college, and I was like, okay, let's go. And I watch it all the time now. That's my movie, like Primo was talking about. If I catch Tommy Boy on TV, doesn't matter what else I got going on, I'm finishing it out.
Yeah.
So many quotable lines, brothers don't shake hands, brothers got a hug. The whole, like, they can guarantee a butcher's ass. Yeah, fat guy in a little coat. Love that movie. One of my favorites. And my number 1. Exactly. Yeah, my number 1, I'm going to go with Moneyball, 2011.
Ooh, good one.
Baseball movie.
All right.
Big baseball nerd. Emphasis on the nerd. And this movie, is very baseball nerdy.
Statistics, yeah.
Different stats and numbers. Brad Pitt stars in it. Jonah Hill, of course.
Brad Pitt.
That era of baseball is about the time I started getting into it. So when you go back and watch it now, like all the players they're naming, all the pictures they're showing of actual players, I'm like, okay, yeah, that's my childhood. That's who I grew up playing as on the video game and collecting the baseball cards and all of that. So there's like a certain nostalgia stick to it, plus just baseball. It is kind of funny that they didn't win the World Series. Spoiler alert: they didn't win the World Series.
Oakland A's, right?
Oakland A's, yeah. And they still haven't won the World Series. So like, eventually, maybe we get a part 2 whenever they win, whenever that is. Who knows? But yeah, so that's my top 5: Deadpool, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, The Iron Claw, Tommy Boy, and Moneyball.
That's a good one.
Nice. Yeah.
Say he's got an ugly girlfriend. He's got no confidence.
Yeah.
All right, boys. My top 5. Now it's going to be a little different. I'm an older guy, so it's going to go back a little bit. I have about 5 honorable mentions that I want to throw out real quick. The Hangover is always one that I will throw in and watch that one, like the first one, no matter what. That one was a big movie for me. I love that one. Lots of quotes. I watched that one a lot with my buddies. It's just a hangout, type of movie. Every time another honorable mention, every time I hear the song Layla from Eric Clapton, I think of Goodfellas, because I've watched Goodfellas so much, and that's such a good mobster movie. I think that's like one of the best. Karate Kid, like I mentioned, I went to the movie theater when I was little. I'm not much of an NBA fan now, but if you knew me probably up until about 5 years ago, I was really big in the NBA. I watched the Boston Celtics a lot, that kind of stuff. And I've always watched this movie growing up. It was called Celtic Pride. It was about Marlon Wayans. He was a basketball player for the Utah Jazz. And there was these 2 Celtics fans. One of them is one of the guys that played in Home Alone. It was one of the burglars, not the shorter guy, but the taller guy. It was him and I think Dan Aykroyd. And they were trying to kidnap Marlon Wayans because he was the best player on the Jazz, and they were playing the Celtics, and they were trying to kidnap him so the Celtics would win the series. It's very funny. It's stupid, funny, sports, kind of shows. But all right, let's get to my top 5, man. So, all right, coming in at number 5, man. If you're a sports guy, I can't in comedy. I can't recommend this enough. I'm not a big, huge fan of Will Ferrell in every role, but in Semi-Pro, I think he was really like in his element, and like I could just about quote this movie for you from top to bottom, because this is not when I lay in bed at night and fall asleep to. It's just funny, and the first 3 quarters of it's funny, and just the whole concept of it, of a dirty little independent basketball league getting picked up by the ABA, and they're nobody's coming. It's just hilariousness ensues. It's funny. So for me, at number 5, Semi-Pro. All right, number 4, I'm gonna bring the house down. All right, this one is the one that like So there's 2 movies that I could watch and would get me upset like every time I watch this. So there's this movie. I don't know if you guys might have even heard of this movie before. Okay, so this movie, I think it came out in it had to be in like the 80s, because I feel like I watched it like so many times by the 90s. Maybe it came out late 90s. I didn't do any research. So it was a movie called Mask. Okay, it had Cher in it. And she was the mother of this kid that was born with this disease where he looked kind of like a lion face. It was called like a lion face disease. And it was based on this true story of this kid named Rocky Dennis. And it was like the story of him growing up and being accepted and being made fun of, and all the stuff that he goes through, right? And like real bad headaches came with this disease that he had. And it was just like all the stuff that he went through, and it was like based on a true story. And it's the saddest of saddest of sads, kind of movie. And like he had his mother, Cher, in the movie was in a motorcycle club, so Rocky kind of like had the guys from the motorcycle club protecting him from the bullies and stuff, so there was some funny skits, and he gets real tight with them. And then and like Rocky loved like music and like baseball cards, so he so it just ties sports and everything and just wrecks all of my emotions in once, so but it's a super sad movie. I can't recommend it enough. And I just wanted to say too, it's not The Mask. That's the one with
Jim Carrey.
Yeah. It's just Mask. So
Or Man in the Iron Mask.
Yeah. It's sad if you ever want to rip your heart out on a rainy day or something. So all right. So moving on to number 3 for me. All right. So my favorite movie series of all time is Rocky. Give me 1 through 4 every day of the week, right? And so, I was like, well, I can't really put these in the top 5. So I was like, so I picked my own number Rocky that I thought was the best. And man, people throw 5 away, but to me, that's kind of like how Rocky goes rogue, kind of like the end of the story. So I don't hold it too harsh from people. But 4 on back is money, man. I really love 4. I really love 1 and 2 because it puts the story together. But man, number 3, right? Give me number 3 because you got Rocky in the story, right? Like he's coming off beating Apollo in that second one. He's a major star. Here I am watching wrestling. Here comes this guy named Thunder Lips that's on that looks like Hulk Hogan, and I'm like, oh my God, head spinning Rocky, it's Hulk Hogan from WWF, holy shit, and then we got Mr. T, and he's involved in WrestleMania as well, you know what I mean? So here's where my wrestling fandom and movie fandom and all spun together. Rocky 3 did so much for me as a child, just all of it put together was just amazing, right? It was just, so, I mean, I love everything about it. Mickey dies in this one, spoiler alert, but you know what I mean? This is a big
Dang,
one.
man.
So, yeah. Sorry. Ruined it 50 years ago. So that one's a big one to me. That one, the only one on my list that ties into wrestling because of just, for that young, but I gotta love Rocky 3. All right, top 2, man. These were easy for me because if you if you knew me personally, my first love was basketball, and it still is. You know what I mean? That's always been my number one. I grew up playing it. Played it with my dad. We all played in high school and all that kind of stuff. We tried playing college, all that kind of, so I've just loved it, right? I'm a North Carolina fan through and through. I grew up in North Carolina where basketball is just, it's everything, right? So, so for me, my top two are basketball movies. And number 2, I just got done watching it. This one again, because I just signed up for Paramount Plus to watch UFC, and
of course
on there is Blue Chips, this movie about is back in the day, in the, I believe it's early 90s. Nick Nolte is a coach of this basketball team who is paying players to come to play for his school who was once good. Now he's never cheated before, and he's cheating. In today's world, it's not cheating anymore. It's kind of funny to go back and watch this. But his players on the team are one of them is Butch McRae, who is Anthony Hardaway. Another one is Neon Badeau, who is Shaquille O'Neal, a very young Shaquille O'Neal. And there's another guy, Ricky Rowe, who is like the second coming of Larry Bird from French Lick, Indiana. And all 3 of them play on this basketball team. They're just kicking everybody's ass, just, over and, you know what I mean? And just, and just, it's a great story. And he quits and the program goes to shit, all that kind of stuff. I just love everything about it. But so shocker that for me at number 1, I love this movie. Gene Hackman is like a god to me. I've always been, felt like I was, basketball is my thing, right? But I've always felt like, with North Carolina basketball, I always had like a little bit of something else for those basketball programs like Indiana, you know what I mean? And Kentucky and those bluegrass, like I'm God, I hate Duke, but I got respect for him. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Like, they're in the talk, you know what I mean? Like those kind of blue bread programs, like I just love. And so, this movie, not about Indiana, but about Indiana high school and, just the, how the game has grown there. So my number one, obviously Hoosiers. I've absolutely probably seen that movie no more than a couple hundred times. Like, like I'll just throw it on, just have it on background noise and sit down when I know certain parts are about to happen. And Jimmy Chitwood is mentioned in my house, you know what I mean? So a lot, but yeah, best, I just love everything about the movie. It's I live in a small town now, and I still feel like this movie isn't far from even today, you know what I mean, the way it is, you know what I mean? Like, the locals want the basketball team to win, and the coach's head isn't on a platter like it was, in this movie and in this era. But yeah, so yeah, it is. It's a fantastic movie, man. I love it. So can't recommend enough. Good wholesome movie. So all right, boys. So how'd you feel about talking non-wrestling here? Hopefully, the fans love this one and we can rattle off a few more of these, but how'd you guys feel about that one today?
I think it was funny that we still all three had a wrestling related movie on our list.
That's what I said. I knew we would be able to get away from it completely, right?
I like that we all three had completely different lists too. It wasn't like, one movie popping up on all three of our list, or, 4 movies popping up on all 3 of our list. We were completely separate, 3 completely different views. A lot of good movies mentioned too.
Yeah.
What's funny is for as many movies as I've seen, and calling myself a movie buff, I didn't see Goodfellas until last year.
Yeah. It's a classic. Yeah, and this will get me thinking too, man. I need to go watch this movie. Primo mentioned this one, you know what I mean? So I'm always looking for little gems to watch during downtime when I have it. So, but all right, well, let's let Chris Jericho make it official.
We just made the list.
We all just made the list. All right. So if you guys are checking in for the first time, we appreciate it. We are the Sit Down Marks podcast. I am Debo. DB. I am Debo. I'm still thinking of Neon Bado, I think. I am DB, Primo, and Dylan. Appreciate you guys chilling with us today. All right. We're going to let you guys go home now.
Autobots, relieve them of their weapons.
Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll check it out next time when we run another The List.
Adios.